Okay, welcome everyone to our August pre-meeting, our working session. Let's get started. So just going by the agenda, for our first agenda speaker, we have Rachel Ritter from the Recreational Board. She's the chair, providing the annual update. So welcome. We go back up.
Okay, thanks everybody, thanks for having me. I think that's much better, thank you. As they said, I'm on the rec board and we have had another great year. It's been really fun. We have a wonderful group of people that volunteer there and we love Zach, our leader, and he basically does all the work for us. And then we just come in and maybe stuff some bags and put a smile on our face to greet the community members, but it's going really well. We've had the same group in place for a long time and everybody really likes each other and we get a lot done through it. And we just had the festival, as everybody knows, and it was minus the rain, it was quite successful. People had a lot of fun and we're always open to different ideas if anybody has any of those or you know, we really like the bands that we've had the past couple of years, and there are some magicians and the animal people. So the festival has been going really well. I think next year we're planning to kind of make sure all of the food vendors have better visibility. That was a takeaway from this year, but otherwise, you know, the vendors are really happy and the community members seem to be pretty happy as well. So as long as the weather's good, all goes well. And then next we have our Halloween event. So that's always fun. And that'll be at Blueberry. Like I said, it's just really fun. It's all ages, you know, for everything that we do. We try to incorporate different ages at different events and everything, but we have a great time, but we're always open to suggestions. So if anybody has any.
Thank you, folks. Questions?
Is there anything you need from us? Any way we can help support you?
It would be wonderful to get to know everybody a little bit more. We would love, I know that the board feels we don't know as many council members as we would like to know. And I think that for us to get to know you guys would be wonderful, either at the events or something else, I don't know. But it would be really great to get to know you guys. So then when we are at events, we can introduce you to, you know, the people, the community. And then that's how we build this council and make our borough even better. So maybe just getting to know each other, our groups, mixing would be great.
Do you know everyone here?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let's go around. We usually do that.
Yeah, I'm Zach Vilas in the borough manager.
Again, probably what to compliment purposely of Ward 3 Council.
You know, yes, for Ward 1 Council. I'm sitting in Doug Lee's chair, he's Ward 1 as well.
Kristen, the big mayor. Rachel and I know each other.
Brian Mel.
Sorry, usually, yeah.
No, that's okay. That's great. And I know everybody on the board would like to intermingle and get to know you all as well. So, any ideas for something like that is always welcome.
Yeah, I did want to ask, like, so the timing of Franklin Parks Festival is typically been like a week or around that July 4th timeframe, right? Has that always been the case? Has it ever?
As far as I know, Zach, has it always been that way?
20 years at least.
Day.
It's always the last Saturday.
Always last
Sometimes
Saturday.
it'll be the fourth or fifth, depending how the calendar
Oh,
falls.
okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
but it's always been the last Saturday. Like I said, it's probably been at least 20 years that it's been that way. I don't.
It used to be in May and we had rain every time. So then they moved it from May to June.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, even with the thunderstorm and everything that happened, like, the turnout was like pretty high, people stuff around and it cleared great, so.
Yeah,
It passed.
it still worked this year. It was great. The rides had to close temporarily and then a couple couldn't reopen, but it's
I'm just waiting. I know it's like Marshall has theirs coming up, like they was those signs, but it sounds like this is an obvious time for first. That's good.
Yeah, it's based off of the other North Hills communities. They kind of, we're all within a week or two of each other. Like, Ross changed theirs this year, and not sure why, but they did theirs actually the day after ours. They've been trying a few things. They've been trying like smaller communities within their community, having like smaller fairs, kind of move around different communities within Ross. This year they brought back just a single day, bigger one, but it was back to back with ours.
Okay.
Marshall's always generally right around going back to school time. Ohio Township's generally like 2 weeks after us. Richland and Cranberry, same thing. We kind of try to keep them staggered by a week or two so that we're never competing with each other within the North Hills communities. During festival times.
Yeah, that's good. All right, any other questions for Rachel? Rachel, any questions for us?
No, I think I'm all set. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for all of your help and keeping our borough on track. Good to meet you all.
Okay, next up, we have, Brian Call, our diesel, to talk about our report, our audit report.
Yep.
Brian, you want to take my mouse and back there on this, we should never hear you.
Brian, you know everyone's term or? We
I
just
do,
went over it?
I do now.
Okay.
I'm Brian McCall. I'm the auditor with Mardistal CPAs. We have completed your audit for 12/31/25. So I'm here just to go over a brief presentation, basically summarize the audit. You have a filing due with DCED by March 31st each year, which you complete. And then you have a nice looking set of financials that are completed thereafter. I will say it continues to be, just today, the city of York, East we're working with, but they're 6 years behind in audits. That's a new record here for me, I think, but, there are just a number of communities that are a year, 2 years behind on their audits, that are reaching out to us. So, staying on time, being current is an important part of financial reporting, having the audit done. You know, if there's anything that's pointed out adjusted, you want that on a current basis, not 2 years later. So, I just have a couple slides here to. You want, I'm not. I think there's only like 6 slides. Keep it pretty. Go ahead and skip over that one. That's just some things. Go back. So these are just some required communications. So as part of our audit package, we include a letter that's titled Communication to Those Charged with Governance. Really, that's a formal communication written, but I'm here at the meeting, so we kind of cover it that way too. What it lays out is our responsibilities under general accepted auditing standards. So that's our professional standards. Really, there's your deliverables are a nice looking audit report. The DCED filing, we also expressed an opinion on. There is a communication letter to those charged with governance I just mentioned. And then we also prep a legal advertisement for you to put in a newspaper local circulation in accordance with the borough code. So there's all these documents and we help prepare them, but really as the auditors, the only thing that is the Mardistal piece is our opinion on those documents. And so for your financial statements, if you look at them as a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the best type of opinion, if you look at the DCED form, which is kind of the regulatory looking document, you will see a lot of verbiage in there and it says, well, it's an adverse opinion. That is just every community we work with, because that does not follow general accepted accounting principles. We have to say adverse, but if you go down further, you will see it is fairly stated in accordance with what the DCED wants you to file at. So you are filing correctly with the DCED. Other things we would point to, you know, in any set of financial statements, there might be estimates. Your biggest estimate is the pension liability. So over the past couple of years, your pension liability, which, you know, isn't recorded on your general fund budget or anything like that, but once a year in your financial statements, it takes your assets and compares it to the actuarially calculated liability and says, where do you stand? for this year into 12/31/25 and probably continuing to today, you've got into a pretty good place with both the pension plans. That's been a topic in the news for Allegheny County quite a bit lately. I believe when I just looked, I think the police plan might be at 102% and the general plan's at 89%. So that's good shape. That doesn't really, where that shows up in your general fund budget is whenever the actuary calculates what you have to contribute. The further underwater you are, the bigger your yearly contribution would be. But it is an estimate by the actuary, so it's probably the biggest estimate for financial statement. We also noted in the letter in here, good cooperation from management. Regis in here, you guys can tell him I said anything and see if you can make him chuckle. But no, he does a really nice job keeping the financial statements together. But we've worked with a number of people here to get through the audit, so good cooperation from everybody. Just a couple of financial statement highlights. So the way government financials work, just once a year for these audited financials, we do a long-term view, which is like a business type view. It's a little weird in governmental accounting. When you issue debt, it's actually kind of a revenue to the borough. When you make debt payments, it's kind of an expense. And most people say, wait, that's on the balance sheet. It doesn't really work that way, but once a year we can help you convert and you present that way. So on a long-term view, you actually had an increase in that position of 1.2 million. So that's putting all that, what you owe on the pension, the value of the fixed assets, and then any debt you owe, kind of making it look like a business once a year. So in a long-term view, that net position or the equivalent of fund balance increased by 1.2 million. The governmental fund balance, which is the general fund and the other funds, other than the golf course, had a decrease of 465,000. So that is where, and large reason for that decrease, tax revenue is up, but there were capital investments made during the year. So that cash outflow basically is an expense, even though that is an asset that has future use from the equipment you bought or any investments in the park. You'll see there your net capital assets are 9 million at the end of the year, and you added almost 2 million to those during the year. Also, then you have long-term debt outstanding, no new debt during the year, 3.4 million. But there you see the net pension liability. So with the net of all the pension assets less the actuarially calculated liability is about $600,000 there. So those are just some highlights we try and touch on. One thing I always say when we come in and do the audit, we didn't have any significant audit adjustments through our process. You're using the numbers throughout the year. We kind of come in after the battle is over and look at them. So I always try to express to our younger auditors, like our goal is really, we're in here after the fact, but we want to make sure every place we work with is making decisions based on good financial information that being provided. Couple more financial highlights. I'm sorry. Next slide. This is just a slide with your ending fund balance. Sometimes we look at it as a percentage of your budget and what it should be. I think it's close to 25% maybe, like unassigned. I think you want to, and the trend will be to continue to get that bumped up a little bit on a short-term basis. When you look at that long-term view, you're in a good place. When you look at as you budget and the general fund, you want to continue to get funds moved over to capital, but also keeping up with capital. So that's a challenge to do when you don't have new business coming in, big real estate transfer, different things like that, building permits. So that is the change of negative 400,000 there in basically the general fund and the governmental funds. This is just a quick slide. What do we do as your auditors? Like I said, we're talking about these numbers, but they're really your numbers. Those are the things you've seen during the year. We come in, we take a look at your internal controls, who's handling what are the approvals, take a look at all of those things. If you have anything that we consider to be a significant deficiency or a material weakness in an internal control, we would report that to you through our reporting, or I would mention it at this meeting. We don't have anything like that to report. The objective of our audit isn't to give an opinion on internal control, but in order to perform the audit, we do have to understand it. So, a lot of times we, and especially whenever we come in as the new auditor, we might have 4 pages of control recommendations of things to do to segregate duties, to make sure this, hey, this didn't get filed on time, different things like that. We don't have any of that to report. Some other things we do as part of the audit, we do sample testing. It might be pay rates, time cards, looking at disbursements that are made. Was it approved? Was the vendor on the approved vendor list? Anything that's a balance, we might send a confirmation or look online, or look at original bank statements, investment statements. We would confirm the pension balances. If you have accounts payable, receivable, we say, well, if there was an accounts payable, did it get paid out after the end of the year? If you said it was receivable at the end of the year, did you actually receive the money? We look at board minutes. We read the board minutes to make sure that the things are being discussed here. If you're talking about issuing debt, that could maybe be a disclosure in the financial statement. So that's kind of just a quick summary of what our real role is and what we're doing as your auditors. And I already kind of said this, but really, the goal, you did receive an unmodified opinion on your financial statements, and then an unmodified opinion as well on that DCED basis of accounting, during the year. So happy to report that. That said, just happy to take any questions on anything related to the audit.
Any questions? Okay. Brian, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And good job, reach on the financial turnaround.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks. Hey, moving on. On to old business, there is none. On to new business, reviewing the agenda for this month.
Yeah.
Anything, Chair Shadow?
Of course, always. Though we do have some preliminary matters, as you'll see. So talk about that the night before, if we need to do any dress rehearsal or otherwise. But everything's in line with the Eagle Scout, Kathy.
The mayor's coordinating that, so.
Oh, okay.
We're
And,
waiting
yes,
for that.
and we actually have 2 now,
2.
3 Eagle Scouts, so both friends. But yes, yeah, I'm working.
James and, okay. In terms of the rest of the agenda, we have a couple items we'll be talking later in the work session here. But I did want to jump down to motion 10. This is the Oak Leaf Lane encroachment agreement. Had discussed previously, and we did get a signed copy from the HOA back in June. Had some communications with the Hintermeyers, but they have signed the end of July, actually, August 3rd. So we have had discussions. We have a date in there to remove the wall. We've expressed would be somewhat flexible because it'd take a little bit longer than we expected. Now we may amend this because Zach has already signed. It was set up for signature by the borough manager and sent that around. So we'll probably have this language be a motion to ratify the execution by the borough manager of the memorandum of understanding. Okay, got that one thing. Zach, you can talk about waste management or? That's probably.
Stuff. Yeah, so we went out for bid last month for our waste man, or for our trash hauling contract, which expires at the end of the year. We had 3 competitive bids placed in from Borough Waste Management and County Hauling. That information is attached to my report. Based on the figures that we were given, it's my recommendation to move forward with waste management again for our next contract cycle, which is 4 years with optional 5. They have a little bit of information. So as far as the big contract goes, we had spoken previously that none of the major trash haulers were interested in total trash collection anymore. And wanted to go to cart system only, right? So that's what we bid out for. We're currently doing that with our 64-gallon recycling. Now that will include a 96-gallon solid waste cart for all residential properties. Residents have the option to have additional carts for an additional monthly fee. The sticker program went away because everything is cart-based now, so we're offering a 10% discount to our senior citizens, households that are either senior households, single people households, households with physical challenges, or any other qualifying circumstances can request a smaller cart to allow them to move it a little bit more easily. All of the harmful hazardous waste materials from your homes are still on call pickup, and bulk items are once a month, scheduled at your regular pickup date with no additional cost to the borough.
Back real quick,
Yeah.
we are offering some discount, or they are offering some discount.
We don't do anything with it, like they have to offer a 10% discount to our residents.
Is that, are they gonna pick up the other ones that they've dropped at our houses over the last 4 or 5 years that they've requested and brought?
Yeah, so according to the contract,
Yeah.
they're supposed to supply brand new carts for both rice recycling and for regular traffic.
So will they pick up the old one?
They should, when they come to get your existing, they should take
Okay,
your existing carts.
we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see.
That's what they should do.
But life of the contract, so putting it in some like digestible numbers, right? By moving forward with waste management in comparison to the mobile contract, we'll save our residents $2.3 million over 5 years. And compared to county hauling, it's $390,000. So, this is the right choice to make. And our first year of the contract next year would be a stay on where we're at in pricing. So there'll be no increase next year, and then a slow escalation from there.
On the bulk, you said that has to be, that's once a month, but it has to be prearranged.
Yeah. So it'll either be scheduled or they will set up like a week that route is their bulk week.
Okay. So if you have like, say you're doing a remodeling project, you get rid of a mattress or something, still, it doesn't have to always fit in the can, it just has to be that particular.
Yeah. Which they are required to send out all information prior to the contract taking place. So every resident, every household will receive a whole package of the entire layout and how this works.
Okay. Perfect. And so that's my next thought is, how many questions are we all gonna get, but if they
Yeah,
send all
they're
that.
required to, based on our bid specs.
Okay.
So how big are the recycling bins that we have now? So they,
64 gallons.
so there's, okay. So they're gonna be a twin, oh no, 96, okay, no.
Yep.
So are they gonna do it to automatic, initially, like at the beginning of the year?
I don't know about the time frame. It will depend on how the carts get in, right?
Okay.
So because we're not changing companies, there'll be a little bit of a grace and flexibility as we kind of move through this change. So it would all depend on how fast their new carts are in, how fast they can get them out to all of the residents, and then, from there, so it's just.
All right, and the last item I'll just talk about on the agenda, motion 5 is the resolution for an official sewage facilities planning module. We don't usually see these because we've got public sewers through the eastern half of the borough and elsewhere, but in areas where you don't have a connection to a public sewer, you have the septic tanks, which are becoming, I guess, more disfavored. So these small flow treatment facilities becoming, I don't say more popular, but we're seeing more of these as being a sewage solution. We do pass this resolution. I don't know if this is that Act 537. Is this like a single one? Other municipalities pass them for like sewer districts, larger areas. We've done one-offs previously. So this is a DEP requirement through Allegheny County Health Department as well. But we also have the owner sign and record essentially an operation and maintenance agreement because we are dealing with sewage here, more dirty than stormwater, but somewhat similar to that concept. So they get a servicer lined up. This is an agreement that runs against the property. They put up a financial security for the installation of the system, and then once it's operating, that number goes down so that if there is a problem with it and the property owner isn't fixing it or addressing it as the terms of the agreement, we have funds that we can go in, send somebody in to just correct the system before we have a public health thing. So that is one. We've done at least two in the recent past. We may consider, if these are becoming more popular, doing an ordinance that perhaps streamlines this process, otherwise adopts a standardized form. Quite there yet, but Tim, I think you are adding things to the annual fee resolution in terms of application fees and covering costs and things like that are becoming.
Any questions? Thanks, Max.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, so reports from staff and engineers.
You have my written report. I do a report. Anna has not hit her due date just yet, but she is ready. She told us today, so it's pretty miserable. So thoughts and prayers.
Okay. Sounds good. Here.
Yeah, along with my report, the only thing I can add is, we're going to be starting our last phase of paving. It's on Bellwood Drive, Bellwood Court, Fairway Circle, and Belmont Drive. It's about a mile, just under a mile, 3/4. It's going to be starting on Monday. Weather permitting, we should be able to finish it. Probably 2.5 weeks, finish everything up, but as long as we get good weather, so, hopefully we won't get, all the rain, but, we're just hoping we can still do some of it, so. That's all I have to add to it. If anybody has any other questions.
All right, pretty good. Tim.
So, this month, we're gonna be a little busy. The zoning hearing board has 5 applications they're hearing, date. One for an accessory structure on a vacant lot, 3 for front yard encroachments, and 1 for a rear yard. Planning commission also has some work to do. They'll have the logging application. And they will have, conditional use application for a residential garage over 1,000 square feet. All our information's in report. If you have a question.
Questions? Thanks.
You have my report. The only thing I have to add is today I received a call. Special Olympics has been moved out of the school district properties. So we were reached out about, Special Olympics flag football team is looking for a place to run practices once a week. It's 14, 15 kids on the roster, but they usually only have around 10. We do have an open field available for them. I'm more than willing to rent it to them. I guess the question to the council would be is, do we want to waive the fee for Special Olympics flag football for once a week for the fall here? With our fee schedule, it's $325, I believe, would be their rental fee. But since it is an established good company that we believe in, do we want to waive the fee?
What's when you say 325, 325? Is that for the entire season?
The season.
Yes. And what you're proposing is that you would just waive the 325 because it's charitable organization.
Yeah, and
I just wanted to be clear.
and we don't have another rental going in. They're not blocking anything. We'll put it.
So it'll just sit there empty.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't have any philosophical problem with contributing $325 to a cause that I have.
Any objections or comments?
No, I think that's good community relations, especially for an organization that does something for with a disability, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, my report, just a couple of things, I want to bring up is the golf outing. We had a total of 92 this year, which was up from previous years. We hopefully get over that 100 golfer mark would be ideal. in the end, after all expenses paid out for the outing and supplies, our net gain for the year was 10,300, which is good, but, you know, so that's mostly the advertising, the title sponsors, the lunch sponsors, the golf itself. We basically break even on, but it's a good outing, but I know, you know, with the amounts that we pay out, we need to find ways to make up the difference, you know, 10,000 a little short of what we pay out each year, so sustainability would be in the future, you know, work. So, something they, you know, Dawn obviously did tremendous amount of work on organizing that every year. And Cranberry Highlands has been a gracious, you know, it's been a nice facility, and they've been very well helping with us for that outing. And the other thing I have, kind of not really what Zach was saying, mentioning the Special Olympics. So we have a guy, a gentleman at the golf course that golfs with his special needs, Special Olympics son. And we've known him, and he reached out to the staff and was, you know, they asked me, and our staff over there is very good with, you know, with communication and talking with and interacting with our customers, that he wanted to do a Special Olympics night. And being we have leagues on most nights, we usually have a few tee times after, and we know with it being Special Olympics, not to be fast, and they didn't want to be in the way. So last Wednesday, they did bring, I think, about 12 kids that played, and I got a thank you note today from one of the parents that I thanked us as a community and a golf course for, that their child absolutely loved the outing and the time they got, because there was no push to be in anybody's way. They just played as many as holes as they could till it became dark. And I think that was one of the, just want to mention something that, you know, to the staff over there for recommending it to him, and how it's helped with these Special Olympics. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. Sean?
Thank you. You have a copy of our report. Not much of great significance that for 50 updates. Big push is moving along with storage building to get that out to bid. But other than that, no updates of significance unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Sean? Sounds good. Chief?
You have a copy of my report. I want to highlight Friday, we were having our large scale mock active shooter event, training exercise at AMR Middle. We partnered with North Allegheny and North Allegheny Police Department. But it's going to involve departments besides McAllen's Northern Regional, Ohio Township, along with fire, EMS, SRT, FBI. It's gonna be about 200 people altogether. And we put out flyers to the community. We sent out 115 flyers via mail, and I had the officers knocking at doors of about 70 residents to let them know. I have a copy of the letter that we issued or sent out. I also put it out on social media and let all the major news stations know about it. And Kathy pointed out to me that they've already put it out on the news. So, yeah.
There was a big email blast from the school district as well.
Yeah, the school put something out as well. So
They're sharing all the school district stuff on their stuff.
yeah. And I think there are a couple other, but Zach and I'll let Zach bring those up as well. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions?
Do you want to talk about field club now?
Sure, you want to bring it up? Yeah.
It's all you, Aaron.
Yeah, we, Zach and I had heard from, residents. In fact, they were emailing us while we were headed up here, concerning speeding on Field Club between Reese Run and Field Club Court. It's a straightaway portion. We had done a speed study there over I think it was about a 6 or 7 day period. There were about 5,000 vehicles that passed through. And out of that 5,000, there were about 1,500 that were in enforceable range for us. The residents are pretty upset with the amount of traffic. You know, people using it as a cut through from Rochester Reef Run Road. And they're concerned about the speed as well. They would like to see something done about that. It sounds like they're looking for more than just enforcement. They're looking at either lowering the speed limit, traffic calming, all the usual requests that we get with that. I will tell you that I looked over the years. We average, it's always been a known area of people failing to stop completely at the stop sign, Fill Club and Fill Club Court. We have over the years done an average of about 50 traffic posts a year over there. We've already done 50 this year, and we're not even through the year yet. We'll, it is a difficult road for us to do speed enforcement because, we don't have radar. We have to draw lines on the road and we have to sit out in the open. We have to see you coming, we have to see you leaving. And people, we sit out in the open. We're never going to catch anyone, or very unlikely to catch someone actually speeding on that road without radar. So they're looking for recommendations, or they're looking to partner with council to try to come up with a solution to their issue. As we kind of discussed, this involves engineering studies. I don't believe that it would ever meet the requirement to lower it to 15 miles per hour. And that's not going to solve the speeding issue, right? You can make it 5 miles per hour. All it's going to do is increase the number of violations that are occurring there, which again, I won't be able to do much about because we don't have radar. Traffic calming, we've already put signage up. We put the signage right in the straightaway portions for people. And in fact, one of the emails I got, it commented that they feel that has already had an impact. And I also know from the engineering side, you can't take into consideration the fact that it's being used as a cut through. Some of the other traffic calming measurements that they asked for was like a choker. They did mention about it being only turning one way once you reach one of the ends, which would mean it would be only a no left turn onto Reach Run Road and a no left turn onto Sandhurst, which I think the residents that live on that road would be very upset with that, because they would have to literally drive around. But yeah, so I don't know that an engineering study is going to show anything that we can do more than what we're doing. But I'm not an engineer, so.
The road's already pretty narrow. I went and looked at it yesterday, so I don't know a great way to do a choker that's
Yeah.
That's feasible there.
Yeah, it's not wide enough to do an island in there. It's not, you can't, I mean, it's a straight road. There's no curves where the curve is. There's a stop sign. Accident wise, we may have had a couple mailboxes hit over the time, but we've never had a severe, knock on wood, accident over there. So we're down to speeding, and I'm not even sure that it meets the threshold for engineering. I don't know that, though. I'm not an engineer, so. Yeah.
Definitely appreciate the context and detailed emails, looking for all copy on it.
Yeah.
Fairly thorough, so definitely appreciate that. Fortunately, like you mentioned, our side, but inability to use radar, at the local level, practice of state result. But absent of that, so the road is narrow, but does that preclude, so I don't know what the specs are required for the roads. And maybe an island is out of the question, but planters that are of large and heavy scale, is that a possibility? And then we don't have to decide that tonight, but it's just something I think through. Sean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you see what I'm talking about, maybe I have 5 pictures.
Yeah, I haven't seen this area of the field. I mean, like a median island, middle of the, split the
It
land.
wouldn't be an island, but it would, the planter size and industrial side of things. I'll have to find a picture and send it.
Okay.
I've seen it elsewhere. It doesn't require actually building an island. It is large, it could be large and not overly long, but it's one of those where if you're driving and speeding, potentially hit your car, so it's an incentive to not speed.
Do we do stuff like that on our roads, at least? For
I
our
haven't,
roads?
I haven't seen it here, I've seen it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Find that, see if I get on it.
If I'm understanding correctly, it's one of those things that you need to look at site specific to, what's the impact of driveways on either side? What's the impact of carway width, that kind of thing? Share, Zach, and I can certainly follow up with him, take a look and see. Just even from the desktop level, if it looks like something makes sense, and then if it's worth pursuing any sort of.
That's especially.
Yeah, the one thing intersection. Show you that it's on Eric's substance here. Two scenario. Do we have the option of painting on this, on the road? Like, I know we did on Lenora where the school is, painted stuff on the road to discourage people from speeding and I don't know,
So we don't need to do any sort of study, right? No, I mean, you can put markers there. I mean, the traffic calming technique is kind of the raise. You put thermoplastic on top of thermoplastic on top of thermoplastic. They have this little bump there. The trade-off there, though, is noise. I mean, the deterrent is noise, and if you're in a neighborhood, then you go into your complaints, you know, like you said, Danny, or week.
It's 5,000 over about a 6 day, so about 900 vehicles a day.
Yeah, it is effective for slowing people down, but in a non-residential area. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a question I was gonna have on, would be basically marble strips, but yeah, you're saying that's not a good idea in the residential area, that'd be correct. It does create noise. It's really cost effective, it's cheap, it's easy to do, but non-residential areas where it's sure, that makes sense.
Can we imagine a world where something you put on the roadway of paint with letters might have some impact? I just don't know. If this is like big letters say slow down or everything.
Probably something like that, but I don't know what our painting budget is.
It very.
Well, we get that company called Amos, that we can buy those, you can buy the designs
The
already made
templates,
up,
yeah,
and it's,
just for the template.
thermoplastic, what it is, he didn't put it down, but it is costly.
I
And
will,
it still gives you that, still, noise running over, because we did a couple lines going into, I think, Nicholson Woods, just to try to slow traffic down, and that was only one thermoplastic line, and you could feel it going across, as Sean said, if you do three, like couple on top of each other, you'll really get a good pop on it.
We're saying one really made a difference. What about the sound? Did anyone complain about it?
Not over there, yeah, they kind of like it, they actually said it's looking, but they got the speed lines already done.
I only add about painting on the road slow. I don't know if we'll get complaints about it being unsightly. Only because I mentioned it because I had gotten with Tom and Gary about putting the speed limit signs up there to have an impact, and one of the emails that came across was, and you put you put speed limit signs right unsightly right in front of our house, and that was not my intention. My intention was to help, and so I don't know how they'd feel if we painted the road. I just throw that out.
If
for
all these people are
consideration.
complaining and saying there's a problem, and we offer a solution.
Yeah.
Can they complain about the solution?
Of course they can.
Well,
I mean,
in my world, I deal with complaints all the time, so. Yeah. Probably looking for something more, sightly, planners or that type of thing. I just don't know if that can be done or not. So.
And I did want to ask, like, so much longer, I think. Some thought about the speed limit that are, it's like rare. See what's on the.
Well, you got the same problem.
Do you
I've gone multiple times and ended up, the HOV got a speed detectors put on the sideway. That helped me a little bit, some days, some people speeding, okay? But at least that is closed down, so it's on.
Yeah, it's just the Settlers Walk actually, the HOA had reached out to me right around the same time and had mentioned one of those signs was not working and asked about having a study done, and I reached back out and I asked them if they could give me a road, because there are quite a few roads over there, if they can give me an area where I can do a study, and I haven't heard back from them about that yet. yeah, I mean, it's every community, does have concerns about speeding in their neighborhoods and their plans. You know, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but the radar and what we have to use of VASCAR, someone is really traveling fast by the time we can take enforcement because of that. We're very restricted on that. So, but I mean, we'll do whatever we can. I did mention in the email about the Field Club having the digital sign as well, and they had kind of said, well, why do we have to pay for it? That should be the borough paying for it. But the only caution with that is we'll be dying for every road. You know, every road's gonna want them, and it's gonna get very costly. I think Gary and I talked about them. They're anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah.
So can
Yeah.
we get a grant that'll pay for like,
We
100 of them,
applied for
1,000.
a handful of them,
Yeah.
asked, but never been successful. So if I see them available or get something at that vein, I can of course apply for them, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything of that nature recently.
because I saw those grants for the other communities come through for the traffic signals, right?
Yeah.
It was in the news this week.
Is there a chance to get more of the mobile temporary ones and make a couple of them be like temporarily permanent?
Well, the only mobile one we have is that red radar trailer, which is a little bulky. I mean, it runs on battery and that dies after three or 4 days, depending on the number of traffic. And then we have to pull back in a day or two to charge it and put it back out, which we did. We put it out over there. I did my normal course of action to study. After the study, I put the radar trailer out there to let people know, and then I started heavier enforcement. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, we can put it back out there. But yeah, it's we get a lot of requests, for it. We move around the borough as much as we can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't need to know.
So it sounds like our options are planters, painting the road, perhaps an engineering study, which doesn't sound very attractive. It's probably expensive and sounds like it won't really net many actual results. Yeah, what else?
Okay, that's really cool.
The flashing.
Yeah, flashing my radar, the radar sign.
And the plastic strip that they put down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
was
was-
suggested on the chokers and coming in from the sides to squeeze or a divider on the middle. All of which should be cost.
How much are those lines, Gary, that
Depends on where we buy them. They're different, get them at different places, a couple different areas we need to pick them up. I can't remember the last one we bought. They're not real cheap, you know, I mean, you get them,
after
I'd have to look into it.
after you put them down, if you need to take them up, do they come up or is it they have to burn off?
That thermoplastic, when you melt them, that melts right into the asphalt.
Okay.
So you'd have to get out there with some type of scraper, to get it off. They just don't come off very easily.
Alright, so this isn't,
One's on in Nicholson Woods over there, you know, I mean, they've been on there for a long time.
And they didn't want them off either.
Yeah.
Nobody complained about whatever noise.
Yeah.
okay,
So presumably they pulled up fairly well to a plow.
Well, we've been running plows across it the last couple of years.
Still holding up.
So,
oh, I was thinking, put them down as
now,
a trowel.
if we
That's
stack them,
not-
and put them a little bit, you know, a couple on top of each other, then you're gonna have a chance of, the plows are gonna probably take some of it off too.
Yeah.
So, but even the plows.
No solution tonight.
Sounds like some things to consider.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Hugh.
And then the only other topic are you gonna bring that one up, Zach, about the e-bike, micro mobility?
All about that. So e-bike is like the new topic, that's kind of going around right now. Enforcement, how do you regulate them? How do you protect your parks, your facilities, your residents that are taking, using those facilities for amenities? Aaron and I have, started working on an ordinance, for the protection of our kind of facilities. We've already had, one vandalism at Acorn Park where they took e-bike down into the mulch and did donuts with it and kind of trashed the place that our parks crew had to clean it up. And so we're looking to add some sort of regulation to our code to give our officers a win-win for reckless driving with e-bikes.
But that example, that's still vandalism by any
Yes,
definition.
but, you know, we have walking trails where we have pedestrians of all ages, and then basically an electric motorcycle is just fast, you know?
Yeah,
And so it opens up a lot of opportunity for not only injury, but major injury because we're moving so quickly now. So reckless driving, those kind of things that we can enforce, you know, at that moment or post an accident, trying to protect the people using our facilities.
I got it.
But we put together a rough draft. I was gonna take it to Max, wanted to make sure council was on board before we started spending money.
What is the thing that everybody's? Is it?
Is this-
Yeah.
Looks like other.
You know, we used the McKinney's just passed one, we used it
Yeah,
as a
right.
template, and then,
Yeah, a lot of the ones that I've seen or looked at, the wording that they use often is related to e-bike. And the way I kind of was designing this one was more about an overall micro mobility. So PA law already states based on speed, based on equipment, and regulates them. So this would be more about a non-compliant piece of equipment versus compliant piece of equipment and where you can ride it. So in a parking lot, you're fine, but you're not going across the baseball field. You're not going across the football field. You're not going down a walking path. And you have to ride it in consideration for pedestrians and those types of things. So it's not a necessarily a, hey, we don't like micro mobilities. We just want to say if you're going to operate one, you operate it legally, and you don't operate it on borough property that is owned by the borough. So
I think it's worth doing.
so
It's gonna
that,
work. Technology keeps.
yeah, it's kind of popping up everywhere, so.
Technology is driving it because of the size of the battery, the power of the engine, all that stuff.
So we can go with Max and start getting something.
Yeah.
Ready for you guys to review.
Yeah.
Anything else?
no, that's all.
One more quick question to clarify, we do not need to be there on Friday.
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing that. No, so, yeah, council, mayor will not need to be, there on Friday. The actual, training event at the middle school, the public will not be able to be present, and, there's no need for council or mayor. If you wanted to see a portion of it, there is going to be a reunification, process, very small scale. It's going to take place at the borough building in the police department garage. However, the problem is I could not tell you what time that is going to occur because we're going to be doing a training exercise. And that training exercise may end at 10 and we may be over here, or it may not be till 11. So for me to ask council or mayor to be over there waiting from 9 a.m. on would be not very polite of me. So no need. And to be honest with you, talk about it a little bit further. In God forbid, a situation like that would really occur. All of you have neighbors or have your own children who are in the school district. You're going to be dealing with your own and essentially a secondary victim to what is happening. You're not going to be in the position to jump in and offer help at that point. Now, as it unfolds on day 2 or 3, if there are some type of resources that are needed by specifically the borough or the police department, then that would be the time that we would ramp up the emergency management and get council together and say, okay, we have this issue and how can we address that? But the initial onset of this would be an investigation handled by the state, county, federal level. It would be well beyond what would be involved with the borough emergency management. So, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And any other questions? Yeah. Okay, so, staff.
Yeah, everyone but Sean and Tim.
Everybody but Sean and Tim have to stay, right?
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Safe information.
Okay, so we're on our next topic, which is the Franklin Inn. We basically, in our packets, already detail all that there, and,
Give more information that's at the bottom of the packet.
yep, at the end, right?
Yep.
Okay. Cool, so, how do we wanna go about this? Efficiency. Comments. See what questions everyone has. Yeah, there's more information at the end of the packet from yesterday.
Oh.
The version,
Okay,
We got the second response back.
Yeah.
I see,
Yeah.
but there's link, yeah.
Yeah, there, like, the page numbers are out, but you can go for the ends.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna participate. I told you before,
Yep.
my daughter is an employee at this, beloved establishment, so. Don't wanna have a talk with her, so I'm not gonna participate.
okay.
the revisions are highlighted in yellow.
Pardon me?
The revisions are highlighted in yellow.
Yes.
Tim, do you want to get your opinion on this?
Well, I mean, my staff report pretty much tells, you know, what's necessary and what is, what needs relief. This is purely gonna be up to council's decision. I don't know, like,
Of course.
You go over the three modifications for everybody that they're requesting.
Refresh your memories.
well, the three, yeah, the three modifications were for the sidewalk, the landscaping, and for the paved automobile parking area. They've added the sidewalk along Rochester Road to the plan. So we removed that modification. The only thing we're really gonna need is details to make sure that details match our requirements for sidewalk and public parking. So all that we're looking for there as far as to give modifications as they have requested is, meeting landscaping standards and, the paving the garage parking lots there. Just required.
So those are the two modifications requested that are basically preventing, not preventing, but kind of holding us back from meeting all the general requirements of development. Yes.
Well, I mean,
Other than like,
the list is here, so,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, technically you could grant approval issue upon.
mission plan.
And I mean, there are a few things here that, you know, are questionable, and I've, you know, kind of noted them in red. Want to take a look at that?
Take your most recent one.
Yeah, this is the most recent one. I've marked a lot of the, 33 comments on the original, we've got about 19. And a lot of these things are typically standards, and they're on these because it wouldn't make sense to do them right now. For example, there's no reason to do a developer's agreement until after the approval. There's no reason to, you know, post surety until after the approval. You know, there's other things that would be necessary to get, plan review for the building that they're proposing, the additions they're proposing, and improvements to the inside. They're gonna have to get an HOP for the sidewalk and any other work that needs to go on there. The Allegheny County Conservation District has to have an adequacy letter for their approval for the master plan. So there's other entities that are gonna need to approve these things. But, you know, there are conditions that are typical of every development. then there was a few, the modifications, and you guys need to address that. Still got the same landscape issue on this side, though, because we did the other side. And then that landscaping was actually being used as the landscape for the development as being existing. So that's something that was considered. There's a couple of parking spots in the travel lane. I'm thinking just to eliminate those spots. Because what's happening is the parking spots are right there, where you can actually turn in and cars sitting over the lights off at night. Get there, smack into them. Our ordinance does require that the parking spaces are striped. You can stripe a gravel block, but that'll last on. Yeah. So that's something that needs some sort of relief. So there's a few things here that need some attention, but it's well, part of the was version.
I just want to ask for some members, how do you feel about the request for not paving? Because that'll address like these.
I kind of go back and forth because, obviously, before it wasn't paved. So there's that, it's been that way for how many years? As long as people aren't driving around like maniacs, when it's a parking lot. It's not that you're high school students doing donuts or anything like that. You wouldn't think they'd be throwing around too much gravel and potentially creating clouds of dust or scratching vehicles or things like that. And the fact that it has been unpaved for so long. I think I personally would be okay with it continuing to be unpaved, considering that precedent was kind of been set for those number of years. And I think also, I know we've talked a lot about stormwater in the past, the impervious versus non, so there's some still as well. So I think at least for me, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem saying that they can continue to be gravel.
That was an name we decided the planning committee as well. The paving.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah,
If you want to give perspective from that, but
I think that helping that because paving maybe looks beautiful, having the paving. But if we're running, you're creating more problems with paving, having more stormwater runoff, it's going to other communities and the certain community, the landscaping behind. So we kind of inviting more problems having to pay. That's what my understanding last meeting, so that we decided to let's leave it as is, anyway, we don't have a claim now. That's basically okay, because we having not taking care.
okay. Kristen, your thoughts, David?
I tend to agree that I have no problem. It's been gravel forever and it's never been a problem to my knowledge. And the paving, and I can't find it in here, was, the applicants were stating that caused to be a hardship and then just domino into the stormwater issues and, created a bigger expensive problem.
Or
Same, I don't need to say what I'm saying, but yeah, it seems like leaving it as gravel has worked. We're creating more stormwater runoff problems if we require it to be paved. My question on the landscaping requirement, can you, Tim, help me understand a little bit more about what is required and what relief they're at?
Well, there's a lot of different alternatives for the landscaping. They just have not provided what the ordinance needs, and the ordinance is based on a point system. So, it's give and take. There's just a lot more landscaping that's required by our ordinance. But, that's the zoning ordinance, but there is relief in the zoning ordinance that allows council to, waive, the requirement. So it's not a variance thing. But just, for me to tell you plan for plan, I couldn't because there's so many different options.
And again, I wish I could find it. I read it today.
And do we have a proposed plan in here of their proposed landscape?
All the landscaping is on there, yeah. And some of the landscaping is shown as existing.
Thank you.
So
It's hard to collate all this
Yeah.
information.
The points you mentioned, is it like, it's not exact, but you plant 10 trees, you get 10 points per tree, there's 100 points, and then you shrub is 5 points, and then you're trying to
So it would be required to have some, just by
Yeah, that's
location,
what-
size, things like
Yeah.
that.
Is it the collective property, or is it like one corner of the property?
It would be
But technically, it doesn't have some plant, stick out of the bottom, if it's not like. That is one just for red, that's gonna be. It's kind of like a development being built.
Well, there is some requirements for there to be landscaping on the street.
Okay.
There's requirements for developing the addition.
Okay.
Property boundaries, things like
But the
that.
general point system could be collective, and it could be. It doesn't have to be just one location versus the locations can be spread around.
Yeah, it can be different configurations. Amount trade-offs and things like
Okay.
Can it more or less be like a touch list item, like it doesn't necessarily have to be in place when
Okay,
they
so
go in for
Well,
business, it could be within like 12 months or something.
Oh, I mean, that. When you do a land development, what happens is the land development is bonded, so. Before any permits can be issued, there will have to sign a developer's agreement. Then they have to post a bond for all the improvements that's required on the site, other than the new construction. For 110% of the cost of the construction, so have to be a letter of credit or a cash bond or set aside agreement or something like that will have to be posted. And then as things get built, they can draw down on that credit bond, whatever, that's surety. So that's not a problem. We don't have like anything that says, okay, you gotta do this in these 2 months.
Anyone do like the landscape?
I don't have a brief time, so please don't listen to names. Everything I plan to do.
No, that's not just you.
That's separate as an item.
That can be. All right. So if we're not going with the table lots. These might be items.
Well, there are things that you wouldn't expect to have done, and there's other things that probably should be addressed, but we're not, they're really not huge items.
So for the proposed plantings on page 173. How close are we getting to the required point total?
We haven't done an assessment on points because it just, there it wasn't going to start, they didn't give us enough information.
I see. Well, I guess it's hard for me to say that, yeah, let's waive that without knowing, like, just waive it all together? Or,
Well, that's pretty much what we're gonna have to do, but
okay,
typically what we would do is we would have, their engineer, their design professional, let us know what should be there and what they're asking us.
I see. Okay. I mean,
He shouldn't have to like pick and choose his guess, because that's, like, numbers out of the air.
yeah, I mean, working on memory, there's plenty of plantings there, but I don't know how closely that complies with the ordinance. I would not say, just from a lay perspective, it's lacking.
So it's all right.
Yeah, I don't know,
I think
compared to
that-
the ordinance.
And again, I can't find it, but that was their argument, requesting the landscaping waiver because they already have quite a bit of existing landscaping in front and the back is all wooded, so it's not like it's just a spare
Right.
lot. That was their argument for requesting the modification, and I'm paraphrasing.
should those like the existing things count points? So. The existing vegetation, actually,
I mean, if you're asking for me,
either like, Tim, should they or should they not, like, that, the points are based on like all plants.
Well,
If there's stuff along, if there's existing along the front,
the point, the points are based on what's proposed. Plantings that they're supposed to be put in.
okay,
could be added, or can
The existing.
existing, right, count toward the point total?
I don't believe so.
Which one seconds that now?
Yeah, not specifically, the ordinance doesn't really
Yeah.
address that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, they have a huge piece of property.
Yeah,
So there's not a lot of problem, and it's just undeveloped wood.
Right.
You know, probably more scrub brush and stuff like that, but I mean, it's green, so, you know, it's certainly better than. Looking at somebody else's garage.
yeah, I mean, I'm, again, just working off memory here, would it say the existing landscaping is lacking in terms of like privacy for the neighbors or aesthetics from from Rochester Road?
so you wouldn't wanna have like a special
Saying
frame.
it would be like a make or break.
I just wanted to know how much, what was required and what kind of relief we're giving here.
You wouldn't necessarily wanna have like a line of, like, those blue spruce trees, for example, or along. What is this built with? Yeah, you wouldn't wanna have that along structures, right, because you're basically hiding
Right,
the establishment.
right.
Yeah, if the ordinance doesn't clarify specifically existing versus new, net new.
I mean, assuming through this
Yeah.
process, they're not clearing a bunch of
Flowers.
planting,
Yeah.
right? Then I don't,
There's one part that says tree removal or something, but it doesn't say
yeah, I see that
10
right there.
trees, it says tree.
What's that?
And it says behind that tree
So
to
we're-
remain, or right, just to go along with that.
Yeah.
Then you that means it's first.
Tim,
you see the existing trees removed?
it says there's shed to be relocated, what's a shed?
Yeah, that's what I mean,
Shed, Scarlet.
Yes.
Behind, like a trapezoid looking.
Yeah, it's kind of, big shed, kind of fortunate.
Here's like a picture of their front sign with the flowers.
And shrubs.
So like, what's in that shed? Oh, that shed, okay,
I don't know what they keep in there.
okay, all right, yep, we're good. Yeah, actually, it doesn't look like it's relocated, it's just they're building.
They're gonna move it, yeah, but, this, the new comes off, yeah, they're gonna have to do that.
And it shows a relocation.
Okay, all right, got it.
Of the shed.
Okay, what else, for issues? Yeah, okay, so that's just in case,
Sean, do you have comments?
Sean, you
Your
have
stuff?
So most of them we've covered. Modification of the parking, modification of the landscaping that covers street trees, foundation trees, paved area trees, building trees. The majority of the other comments they've addressed. The other stuff that's left in our letter, Tim basically covered in his as well, mostly third-party stuff for administrative items. So bond, developers agreement, HOP, conservation district. Those sort of outside agency comments. The technical ones, presuming the council grants these modifications, have been primarily. A little bit of back and forth with Kate on Monday. And there's a track of basically, yeah, Monday, a few things missing, they sent it over, so we were able to clear the list. On more focus on.
Right, so working off of the document, Tim's staff report we got yesterday. Under modifications, it sounds like everybody's fine with the landscaping modification and the not paving the park. I understand that correctly. So moving down to Tim's comments. Are we also, so if we're not paving, well, not we, I'm not doing any of it, but if they're not paving the parking lot, I think it makes sense not to require the spaces to be painted. Like you said, that's kind of a waste of resources. What about the space blocking the entrance onto onto and off of Oakley Lane.
Well, yeah, I think those couple of parking spaces just need to be removed, so. I mean, they have plenty of parking there, but if they would remove them, they wouldn't have, I'm worried about a car turning in there and goes, smashing into the other one, because it's parked in the driveway.
Okay, so, but they can't paint it with like lines, how does one remove that?
Comes
parking?
free for all.
Well, they just lose it as a parking space and as this condition, they'll have to do that, they'll have to revise the plan to show that it's.
Then maybe put bollards or something in there?
Yeah.
If we just say you can't park there,
I
right here.
don't want to tell them how to design the park one, too much.
Sure.
We're out in left field now, so.
Sorry, Kurt, what were you saying?
Was it, if we.
I mean, they
don't
put
want
planning
parking spaces,
laws.
they can put bollards or
They
something.
can reduce the size of the opening,
Like the concrete posts, so you don't hit stuff.
something needs to be done there.
That's fine,
That's from.
Like,
Your planters come in.
Andrews, can we?
Okay, I understand that we're giving some on the gravel plot, which I think makes sense, but if you're saying that's something we would not allow otherwise, because of safety concerns in our ordinances, then maybe that's something we should address.
Or you think about a condition?
Yeah, and I don't-
You mean,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, number 12.
I mean, it says remove these spaces, and you can remove these spaces or otherwise.
As per modification,
Well,
and
How do you remove the space
don't-
that's not
They're,
there?
they're already well above the number required, right? So all they can do is just pull them off the plan, they're fine.
But
or
practically,
close up that,
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
one with
yeah.
a cat, I just don't wanna, if they feel that they need those spaces. Their engineers, they need to help us.
Yeah.
I think we can certainly let them come up with a creative solution for that if paint is not an option, which it sounds like it.
Yeah, and I can just let their engineer know that, think of something there, I can throw a couple of items out there. And let them make that decision, as long as we don't have an accident.
They have, curb stop of those.
Well, they do,
In
and
the
that's
parking
another
area.
thing, if you turn in there and that curb stops right in the middle of your travel lane,
You don't think it's-
what's perceived travel lane, yeah. It's gonna be.
I didn't know if this was. Or.
I think to Zach's point, though, so the code requires 41 spaces, they show 57. So even if they drop to, they're 55 versus 41. Well over what you.
Okay, so maybe let's
It's not
ask
gonna be
them.
lined, it's gonna be
What-
correct. Free for all parking anyway.
I think this would be a bigger issue if they were right on the number as far as spaces.
Well, let's ask them then for some creative solutions to that issue, so we're still bringing them into compliance, but not overly burdensome. Okay. All right, and then, sorry, let me jump back up. So number 9. Okay, landscaping, handled that. Number 11. The trees, let's come back to that. For 12, we just talked about, right? 13 is handled. And number 14 is handled, and those are all the comments on Tim's, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then. Do we have any in the packet? Hold on, going back to you. The new stuff in the packet. I just want to make sure we're getting everything addressed while we're, what's that?
Look at the 90 years. We didn't approve the sidewalk approval.
I think they're, Tim, the latest one, they're.
They show-
We should ask them to.
Yeah.
Because connectivity.
Are they wrote a new drawings for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if, we have that, we should have.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
The last thing that.
Yeah, the documents.
The revised stuff at the.
Revised.
They're clumped on the very end of the work packet instead of organized with along with the original.
We got it last minute.
Yeah, they're appended, right?
So did we get all these on the LSSC letter from August from today? Yesterday, sorry.
If it helps, I can summarize them in order.
That I think it would be very helpful if you don't mind.
So zoning number 1 is the building foundation. That's one of the modification requests to provide plantings just for the addition, not the existing building. Zoning number 2, landscaping paved area. And it kind of ties in parking lot. Modification to not provide, there's a certain metric of how much paved area you have, how many points of landscape. Provided a question of modification not to do that retroactive, basically. Developed lots is the building area. So they provided landscaping for just the addition, question modification and not provided for the existing building. Those 3 are modifications. Subdivision of land development number 1 is conservation district approval, so third-party approval. Number 2 notes the rescinded waiver for the sidewalk, that notes a placeholder there, third-party approval, they do the HOP, PennDOT, it's in the state road right away. Number 3, modification request, the ordinance would otherwise require street trees along the frontage. That's included in the landscaping modification.
Can I interrupt you 1 second? So will Tim, do you know, will the addition of the sidewalk affect the existing plantings on the front?
It looks like it'll take some of that out, you know.
Okay, then do we want to think about that in the landscaping?
And noting that there's not a whole lot of room there, so
Right.
putting that sidewalk in there is eliminated.
I think they're gonna.
4 feet in width, so.
Yeah, the plan now, you've also got some utility poles, overhead wires next to it, that obviously impacts landscaping. To the mayor's point, this does require them being their sign. That would be a separate zoning application that came afterwards, set a separate plan about it.
Okay. Do we know the sign be moved back closer to the building or just somewhere else?
That's right.
Okay,
They could deal with signs separately.
I see. Because they have plantings, as the mayor just showed us, around the existing sign. So is that something we want to see in the new sign? Okay. Do we need to include that as a condition?
Additional planting around the side.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, okay, it's in,
The relocated zone.
because you're removing it from the sidewalk.
right, and
It's not regular. Did they choose that?
Well, the sun's gonna open up another can of worms. Because the sun is in the, ultimate right of way, if not in the right of way.
Yeah.
So to relocate that from one wrong place to another wrong place. Maybe a zoning issue, so take a look at that.
are we
Right now,
keeping
they're
track
not.
of all these pending things?
There's just, this. With every change, other things happen.
Yeah. it's
So
not-
they're not there with signs, they,
Well, I don't know what, they're gonna have to, make a proposal where they want to locate the sign.
Okay.
That. Unless they put it behind the building, it's gonna be an issue.
But we did, on that other one,
Well,
when it's in the
yeah.
ultimate right of way, it's not been accepted. we
But I think
included
the
language in the
actual
building
right of way
permit.
was up to the building, if not.
Oh, jeez.
Including the building. Because that building's very close to.
Well, yeah, I saw the 50-foot goes behind it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right now, it's
Nine.
right away.
Yeah.
This is.
Okay.
Make it look.
That's a PennDOT issue, but that's.
the
PennDOT's right.
of the railway was well. Right. Yeah, I see, you can see you put it on the building first, I mean, go to the right away.
Well, it looks like it's in the right of way now, and literally the property line is right behind it, but they just back it up, it looks like they can do that.
Probably, I thought that's,
So that may or may not be a problem.
but that makes sense.
Can we ask them that, or just say? Pending.
Well, I think what we have to do is wait and see what they're. We can work with it, if there's any questions, I guess, about what the war work, take all the options.
Okay. All right, Sean, sorry to interrupt you. Back to you.
Here we left off at number 4 then, in subdivision land development, that was paving or parking lot, that modification. 5 and 6 go together, that's bond and developers agreement, so post-approval administrative item. As is on the last page, the only stormwater comment left, your typical stormwater zoning. No technical comments left on stormwater, they have some small project.
Okay,
Is there a comment?
did we get everything? All the items from all the lists, then.
Every 20 years. These modifications stay with us. Because it's.
Side is the side, it makes it.
They're doing land
Unless
development,
they come
so like
in with
whoever
a-
comes in later won't have to pay parking lot.
Oh, because we already went through an approval process for improvements to the site, it was approved, but it was required to have a thing. So. But we never, the plan approved, we never get plan reported in their business on both spring.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a process where they went through, obviously it's expired now. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would see if somebody came in, new owners buying, still a restaurant, no changes, there's no need to do it, but if somebody comes in and says, I'm gonna level this building and I'm gonna
Yeah, then-
create
yeah.
something new,
Well, yeah,
potentially.
and that's gonna be a whole new land development application,
Yeah.
so at that time you're gonna.
Okay.
sort of-
Yeah, I was thinking if someone
Generally,
tries to
they
take it
do.
over as
No,
a,
they did, they run with the land.
yeah,
Part of, it should be noted on the plans, so like any modifications you grant, we
Yeah,
typically have that as
they
your
add-
general comment. So that somebody find that out.
they have-
they're running the land.
So will we see all their proposed plans before we vote in 2 weeks?
Well, if there's any changes to be made, I can ask them to get them within the next couple of days, so we can get with you guys.
Okay, because we want to see a little bit more about landscaping, right? And some ideas about the.
Yeah,
parking
you're gonna have
spaces.
to, like, I have no, you're gonna have to tell me exactly what you want.
Oh. Walking block out of the planners, right?
Well, we can do that, but then you're gonna have to reconsider that. Or, you know, so we're on track now, so.
Yeah,
We can ask them for you can tell them, respond with 3 options. About your landscaping. And then we can approve as a part of the chart or not. We can say. Option number 2 or whatever.
I mean, I think we should, right? I understand. We want to be accommodating where we can. I understand this has been operating for a long time. It's the cornerstone of our community, but I also don't want to get too far astray.
Yep.
Of our ordinances. What is it we're asking them for?
No landscaping,
Landscaping, the parking,
The park.
pollution,
removing.
because if we just say here, those are not parking spaces, that has no practical effect.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, we're still gonna-
the danger is still gonna be there, the concern is still gonna be there.
It's all too late in that.
Parking landscaping.
Yeah.
Sign.
Well, the sign, yeah,
That's
but
another-
that's a different process, right?
Right. But if we were, the council was agreeing to modify the, landscaping so that they're only required to provide new landscaping for the new building, but that the existing landscaping grant was okay, and the trees and everything, and that was okay, then, I think in my mind, they would just have to agree to, put similar landscaping wherever they, relocate the sign. or disturb, the existing. And that if they have to disturb during construction, that they have to.
I think that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Well, you just say the landscape needs to be located inside.
That's,
That's what we-
that's easy, assuming it was in compliance with the first place, in the first place, right?
Well, signs aren't required to be landscaped.
Well, I
So-
know, but assuming that that landscaping got them the point, they need it under our ordinance.
And you're granting a waiver or modification, and part of that can be modified. Something that's not required, okay, you're not gonna have to do landscaping everywhere, but you have to do it around the sign, which isn't required. Supposed to be part of the discussions and the trade-offs through planning commission process up to. And we, in other instances, when we are granting modifications, often not with a revised land development plan. But we have done a approval resolution. Have had some flexibility in that, if there is a three options or something like that, so like the motion would be, I move to adopt resolution number 5, whatever number, granting preliminary final revised land development approval, subject to conditions therein, and selecting option 2. Something like that.
Yeah.
We didn't do it here, we're trying to save review time and money, and that was essentially the resolution attaches the final staff report that Tim has, attaches the final engineer reports that documents the conditions of approval, but also addresses why you waived or modified items. That's part of the process. You're supposed to, one, get those requests for waiver modification in writing. We have some. I think we've got at least the one withdrawn, so we don't have to address drawn one, and then sort of explain for future reference when somebody else comes in, although it's not binding precedent or anything like that. And if there were happened to be an appeal, somebody would review and say, well, there was a reason for this waiver and modification. Modification was, well, landscaping was around the sign once it got relocated. So that's another consideration, wanted to go that route. Post-meeting.
That makes sense. So, for the landscaping, they provide the options. Just parking. If they have more than one solution, they can list that out, if they do.
Right.
As long as that's safely protecting that spot, they can literally just narrow the curb cut because the curb cut's very wide there, so.
You just say no parking at a 90-degree angle from the entrance of, I guess the two
Yeah.
terminus.
So that's a
10
problem.
feet, 10 feet from entrance. Or something.
Put a chair there.
That'll
Work.
So those are two, was it a third? Or no, so
I think we ticked off everything.
So the landscaping, you say 3 options. What are those options gonna be?
they've got. company options.
Yeah, they're gonna present that,
They'll provide, if they are,
So we're gonna ask them to provide 3 options.
yeah,
if we're not dictating,
and then we'll determine whether they are within the ordinance or satisfy the ordinance or the points or.
So are you asking them to comply with?
Yeah, that's
Kind of
what
thing?
you're asking, or that you're not giving a modification.
Well, I guess we still could be giving a modification depending on what the plans are.
like if they need 500 points, they are only at 400, we might provide relief. But we don't know where they are, what they want to do at this point. Other than like relief from all of it.
Right.
So we want to have any landscaping. They should tell us like the options. The option A, which is put over here, option B, scattered around, or
And I think we, at the very least, we do want them to have planting around the new part of the building, right, which is not going to be existing.
Yeah.
Which is not existing currently.
yeah, if the lot is not like a normal lot, a house lot has like sort of, not this gravel lot. But I think the landscaping, they have it in like a tree in a pot.
They're gonna have to show us.
Yeah.
Like I said, no green thumb here. And so, I mean, they could take that gravel area out, but you know, replace it with topsoil or whatever. I'm sure, but-
Like it's solid rock, lot, freehold road, right?
Where the sign is.
But what's part of it, what we're saying, like.
We just grab back to the- Yeah, if they're putting it in an area that's the support, I'll take that up and make it.
Okay,
And it was the first.
yeah, I was just curious what happened.
I'm not, you know, they're.
Already.
Okay.
Satisfied.
For the new.
Yes.
And one other thing is if
Yeah.
we do a resolution motion, we have John's name here as the applicant, but looking at the property record, it is owned by a trust, actually, is the language about the trust getting this, and I'm not sure in terms of recording plans, if that signature block has the trust name and set up. But that was something I noticed in seeing
That was,
quick turnaround.
that was from, we don't like to record name in the buildings.
They did.
You have to.
Are we good in the approach here? Laura, what do you think?
I think, yeah, are they able to do anything while we're kind of sussing all this out, you know? Or is everything in a dead stop until?
There was stop.
They haven't submitted really plans yet for review.
Oh.
Voting permits, so like,
With our planning base?
A demo, clean out the fire damage.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
No, hopefully they can have the wheels turning a little bit.
But the last time that there was any construction firms.
because we emailed them, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? Letting them know, because their insurance company reached out to us, asking the permits we should get. Some plans for internal. For building permits.
But that's kind of a separate process from,
Yeah.
I mean, they're intertwined.
Two things, but.
It is, but you know, I mean, I can't issue a building permit, do anything, so.
Well,
So the development's gonna, you know, signed, sealed, and delivered, and the, plans are gonna be reviewed, but our application is just like. So when we're approved, because I don't review non-residential stuff, that's sent to coach, as they get through the review process, they're gonna have to look at, you know. Everything, accessibility, construction, you know, electrical, mechanical.
Okay,
County's gonna be involved with some plumbing.
so holding any funds under the fire insurance ordinance? No, residential. You can have a check that was. Great, yeah, I don't want to see it, usually don't, so.
Yeah. We're good for this approach? Yeah, it's Wednesday, I guess tomorrow, you're gonna reach out to them about the appropriate. You tell them, respond by Monday or Tuesday. Okay.
So can we get one last clarification on what you want exactly in planting? Do you want them to propose meeting the ordinance? Something in between, or? I guess I'm confused because we talked about the modification, right? Are we going to grant the modification, or are we requesting them to meet the ordinance? So you're asking for 3 separate planting options, but I don't know what you want out of that.
okay. So right now, we don't have really any landscape plans for them. I know page 173, they have some shrub detail, but we don't really know
A
what's
new plan.
And that's,
new.
that's a
Out of the
little
door. One time out of the door.
Yeah, 385.
385.
Would be on down.
that has the side.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So planting on the north side of the building.
and these are all new, well, they can't all be new. So wait, everything around the building
Keep scrolling down.
is new.
Next one. I'm on page 385.
Yeah, 385, it looks like they have some plantings around the proposed.
Right, so these are all new plantings.
Everything around the building, are supposed to be,
Going up
and near the,
and then
planting
here,
near the handicap curve.
And then
planting
around
Is,
the, handicap area.
but what they have proposed here does not meet what's in the ordinance,
Correct.
presumably because.
Which is why they're asking for
we asked for
modification.
modification. Okay, do we know how far off?
Because you have your markations for.
Yeah, so one by itself is street trees, requires deciduous street trees along the street front. So there's none of those. If they're doing their argument space there.
That's reasonable, especially if now they're putting in a sidewalk, right, then they would usually be planting trees in the right of way,
Losing even more space, yeah.
right, okay.
So, that's the first part. The second part of it is building foundation. If you look at the bottom middle of that page, see this little tabulation there. The trees and shrubs that are around the addition. So they provided it for the extent of the addition, for what the ordinance requires, but not the extent of the existing building. Right, so that's their modification, to just provide those foundation plantings for the addition.
Do landscaping, not exist.
I see,
They want a modification, if I am hearing you correctly, they want a modification, not necessarily have to meet the ordinance for the existing landscaping.
The next one is paved area. So it requires spaces for, or I'm sorry, it requires landscaping based on parking stalls and paved area. So they're providing that just for the 3 new ADA stalls that are proposed, but not the entirety of the existing parking. So that's their modification. And then the last one, the fourth one is ordinance calls it, development area, I think, it's basically building footprint areas.
Right,
They don't
okay.
provide any landscape for that, the addition or the existing.
okay,
So those are the 4 aspects: street trees, foundation, paved area, developed area. It's called basically the building footprint. Building footprint, street trees, complete modification, nothing. The other 2 is to provide just to the extent of the new improvements, 3 spaces and the addition.
okay,
That help at all?
yes, thank you, and I realize you now have walked us through that twice, but thank you.
No, that's okay. It's
Okay, this new map that I did
It's
not
tough.
realize was in here is useful. Okay, and the planning commission is fine with this as is. As submitted with this,
Yes,
not 172, but 385.
yeah, they've agreed to forego all and street.
Okay,
The
Well-
additional landscaping.
Yeah, things that weren't shown on.
Yeah.
So what because 385 is a new thing for me as I scroll down too. As I see that now, it makes a whole lot more sense. I
Yes.
think it seems very appropriate.
agreed. I'm fine with this now. Scratch that off.
So no need for the option route. We're good.
Good with your modification.
On my part, yeah.
Okay, so it is landscape modification. Good. The paving, we're good.
Boy, we still want to know about those 2 parking spots.
Yes.
As a condition, we're not.
Yeah, they can either remove them or they can protect them.
Yeah, okay, and hopefully not with a generic or.
No, that was,
It's incorrect.
we'll find that at night.
Okay,
I'll let myself. know.
all right, yeah,
Not
so
there.
we're moving 2 spots, one, sorry,
I'll
so
just- thanks for that.
it's 10 feet each.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that's open on this, or we're?
I think we've had every issue on all the lists that I have found, at least. I did just miss that flat map, so. Well,
So Ted, do we need anything else for that, in terms of responses, or?
Not really, I mean, you know, my staff report, his engineering letter. Except that we'll revise it to, accommodate your wishes and then. The other thing's just gonna be.
What's out there? Application landscape.
Yeah, I was real confused when you asked.
All right. Sounds good, Tim, thanks. All right, so this will be on the agenda for approval. For the two modifications. No options.
Sounds good.
All right, any questions? And,
No resolution then?
oh, sorry, it is just a,
Right now it's a motion.
it's just general motion, right? There's no,
It's usually resolutions on problems.
oh, it's a resolution.
Yeah, particularly when there's modifications.
So we need to add a resolution.
Address it.
We need to add a resolution or,
We would just revise
Yeah.
the motion that.
yeah, okay, all right, all right, sounds good.
And then are these, modifications gonna have to be addressed by individual votes?
They don't have to be,
Let's say that it's planning commission. I-
yeah, that if it's all, so it'll be set up in a positive sense to grant two modifications that they requested. And just have some explanation. You can split the vote, you could say, I want to vote modify, but no, not separate votes on each one.
Okay, sounds good. Great stuff. This, on the note. What are we,
Eight, no?
Why need to let Kate know?
take note?
Yeah, he's not spending theirs.
Does anybody else see anything from these two? What I've got? Okay.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Sam.
Guys.
We'll see you.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Oh, yeah, it's your now. Awesome. All right. Let's go.
Yeah, so you guys have a manager's report. We got the fish run amendments submitted to DEP. So everything for MS4 projects are all under review by the DEP. The Blueberry, playground equipment accessibility project will be set to start here the end of August. Tentative August 31, I believe is the date. We'll be posting stuff about it and shutting down, that side of the Blueberry Patch. Now work starts. Acorn Park work has really kind of started moving along in a positive way, finally. The electric was finally moved. We started planting, and then preparing to get the ADA ramp put into place. The oak leaf right away we have completed. Public Works Garage, working with Sean to get our bids ready. Resident concern portal is up and operating. You guys have the list of everything that's submitted so far. The multimodal transportation grant was submitted on time. I will be pursuing a dirt gravel road and low volume grant through the Allegheny County Conservation District. There's not a match proportion for this, and we're gonna be getting to take out money for MS4 work on Montgomery Road anyways. I'm hoping to try to get around $100,000. We have 4 sections of Montgomery Road where the stream undercuts, which makes it available for this funding source. So that'll be due in August. The Economic Development Tourism Grant due in 2 weeks, which we discussed previously. The road crossings on Rochester Road, collective bargaining meeting started tomorrow. What's that?
Executive session.
Okay, I'm not saying anything about it. I'm just saying they're starting tomorrow. I will be meeting with McCandless, Hampton, and Ross here in August to discuss deer management. It's a major problem for all of us. And there's not a whole lot of solutions. This has been one of the worst deer like summers we've had in a while. We get so many calls over and over again. We're gonna try and see what we can do together, see what options are available for us, try and mitigate some of this getting pretty bad.
Well, historically, we were told we have really smart deer.
Yeah. I mean, our huntable lands are on the western side where the impact was on the eastern side of this valley. So it's really challenging. I was looking into some of the programs that, you know, the state has for sharpshooting to try and get rid of some of the population. And it goes based on the size of the properties. And so I believe it's a 50-acre minimum for one extra permit. And if it's agriculture, it's an extra permit per 5 acres because we don't farm anything. Like we would get an extra 2 permits for our major properties, right? I mean, they would have to request it themselves, not us, right?
Oh, you don't want people shooting all over their.
Yeah, and so like the sharpshooters are like registered hunters that have to go through all this background stuff to then pull additional permits to hunt post rifle season in the second round of archery, try to remove deer from population. And so we're gonna be talking about that in this meeting as well. Hopefully I can find some creative solutions while we're there. That's everything for me. I haven't answered any questions you guys have.
Any questions, folks?
How long is the blueberry concession?
I think it'll be probably less than a month, should be pretty quick. They'll be in to pull out the equipment, they'll set all the posts, come back in, put everything together, and then, put in the port in place and, which is like that.
I've said this before, but can we advertise it a little bit more Blueberry Patch when it's happening, how long it'll take? So
I will, once we get a little bit closer.
Yeah, I know that we still need information from the
Yeah,
installer, I thought of.
yeah, 'cause they had ordered stuff and, they didn't have clear communication on when it was all gonna arrive. So some of the equipment's gonna arrive like in the middle of August. It's just gonna sit on site until
Okay.
everything shows up.
Yeah, I think just the more we can let people know
Yeah.
that it's happening.
Yep, and
When-
we'll likely post on site as well,
Okay.
so.
That's great.
So pushing them into them after the school year starts, sounds like dogs that might eliminate a little bit of crime whenever.
Yeah.
Go off and
Yep. That's
by
fine.
when it's closed.
Any other questions, Sam? That thanks. Oh, all right, first council thing, the. Dedicated report.
Nothing really. Recently, I've seen something really interesting, Marshall, like Borough, which called the arranged something on an exchanging program, really interesting. I was reading about what is the rail exchanging program. So they did it. They decided people can buy and sell in the community instead of in a private space, that they can come to a common space. So they can, the cameras, all the surveillance.
We have it.
We have it?
Yeah,
Outside the police.
the entrance of this part.
There's a little sign that says,
Yeah, we do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can have a public place
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
like
okay.
It's on
make a
camera. too.
cash transaction. or
And the building?
No, you know where you park?
Yes.
Over there, it's like at the bottom.
It's got eyes on it.
To be
So
very
as long
honest
as
with
the
you,
transaction-
my office window is in the parking lot, like where you all park. And I see people all the time. People will pull in next to each other and, you know, whether they're just giving somebody something, you know, but there's people in the parking lot a lot of times doing that.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah, it's nuts.
Good to know that.
Other than, last one back. Had a lot of fun at the golf outing. I saw some faces that are in this room there. I assume you guys had a good time as well. Thought it's great production. It's obviously a great cost, so I was happy to be a part of it. You win something? Stuff you did.
I did, but I gave it to one of my players who lives here, one of the Pine. Fruit.
Okay. 2,300.
Much?
10,000.
No skill.
Yeah.
Although I got close to the pin one year.
Scholarship fund.
She got out of my life.
Oh, my God.
So first I wanted to ask what the presentation is gonna look like for the regular meeting. Is that just like, we just say bye? Or is it like an actual presentation?
Mayor gives you a certificate.
Yeah, represents a certificate, yeah.
Either.
Yeah. Bring friends.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Many phone cameras.
And then the second thing was about the visit. I got an email back from my principal and, he said we can either discuss further later in the summer, which would be either around now or when school starts. So I think I'm just gonna talk to him in person when school starts.
Sure.
And, Elena, the next junior council person, I'm very close with her also, so we could probably get her involved once she becomes the new council person or junior council person, and we could just finalize the dates and then probably still reach out to you guys through either her or, and whenever I get more details from him after our meeting, I could forward those as well. But that's all.
Great.
Just a couple quick things. The one was, already mentioned that we have 2 Eagle Scouts now, to be recognized. And just an update, follow up from the governor's, conference that I went to. It was, in Bethlehem, and it was very valuable, I thought.
Governors or the mayors?
Sorry, Mayor.
Say it, Rick.
Sorry. You have something to announce.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. The mayor's conference, thank you. From a networking standpoint and an educational session standpoint, it was very valuable. Anyway. All I have.
Okay. Very briefly, a few people have mentioned to me, there's a house on you're going south on Reese Run, on the left-hand side, right as it sort of bends, just past Rochester. If you crossed over Rochester, you're on Reese Run. There on the left, there's a few houses. There's one on the left that looks as though it's abandoned. I think there's a Suburban or some sort of vehicle that's been sitting in the driveway. Huh?
So all the residents, both he and his wife passed away. Their family owns it. They live down on Field Club.
Okay,
And Bob was in the process of getting it cleaned up, fixed up after all those trees came down.
okay,
To his daughters ultimately planning them into it.
okay, gotcha.
So there's plans on it, but I keep on them as much as I can.
Okay.
It's not up to the quality that we expect for most of our residential neighborhoods.
But it's not in violation of anything.
It's not in violation of anything right now that I know of.
Okay. Okay. I just had 2 people asking about it. Okay, that's all.
We had a land use meeting and we discussed the issue of the cell towers in connection with the requirements for potentially amending our zoning code. Zach can give a summary of what exactly your second city council is good with going forward with that. So over to you, Zach.
I closed all my tabs out.
I bet you're done.
There's 1 second.
Oh, yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. So as we know from the master wireless plan, they gave us 3 proposed locations for possible towers. Based on our zoning, none of those would meet the requirements currently. So we asked Sean and LSC to review those to try to determine what zoning regulations we would need to adapt in order to make those regions in which the recommendations possible, right? So they made 3 recommendations. One of them was the setbacks, right? So the way that our ordinance is currently set back or has our setback set up, it is towers in excess of 100 feet, specifically any additional 50 feet setback for each 25 foot of height over 100 feet. So this results roughly in 420 feet of setback for a tower. And because none of these properties exist anymore that can accommodate that, we made the recommendation that the minimal setback be 110% of the tower height. So if the tower is 200 feet, it needs to be 110% of that tower setback, right? So that if any emergency or anything would ever fall, it would never leave that property, right?
You indicated that based on the current technology, they're designed to snap in half.
A lot of them now are, it's so that if they're gonna fail, they're gonna fail in the middle and not at the base.
So it's 15% of their.
Yeah, but the recommendation is still, instead of the 50 acre requirement, which is what it's now, if it's a primary use, you need to have 50 acres. There's 4 in the borough that are 50 acres now. We have 2 of them. And so, the other was, adjoining land owned by the same landowner for certain 10. So the recommendation is to get rid of that part and make it only the 110 setback. To kind of govern, give us a little bit more flexibility. The next one was.
Is this so they were recommending make those changes across the districts, not just in the few districts?
Correct, yeah. The second one was all of the zoning districts, right? So because of the area in which we need on Nicholson, there are 2 zoning districts that's not currently approved. And so we need to add both of those zoning districts to give us flexibility, which would be all zoning districts but one. So it makes sense just to open it across everywhere. Our lots in the borough now have been so subdivided and are so small, there's so little options. And so we're just trying to open up as much as we can, to give us a little bit of flexibility. And the last one was the minimum lot requirement, which was to remove that 50 acres and have it be justified based on the setbacks.
So we want to ask council if they're good with handing this over to Max so he can make the proposed recommended changes. So we can move forward because this is a long project and we're trying to land the plane at some point.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about like, the finances of this too. This year we budgeted for $5.1 million for public safety, and we have large portions of the borough that can't haul or access those resources, right? So it's something that absolutely needs addressed. And we had an impartial guide come in and do their assessment, give us locations where we can close these gaps most effectively with the least amount of impact on our residents.
And when we say impartial, what we mean is that they're not connected in any way, shape, or form, but it's a developer or a company that would make a profit off of where these are being identified as most able to increase the cell signal and the emergency broadcast services that we need. That's about as impartial as, whether or not those companies come in and choose to put the stuff where our impartial expert suggested, we don't know, but they won't even look at it until the zoning ordinances are effectively changed to make them possible. So that's what we're doing. So if council's good with it, we'd love to turn it over to Max and have him make the recommended zoning changes.
Yes, any objection? Okay, sounds good.
Okay, then it's turned over to Max.
All right.
We were trying to do this, do the cell, or no, I'm sorry, the
Solar.
They just kind of roll it all into one.
One, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about
Same
that.
subject, it's all zoning. What else too?
And then we don't need to worry specifically about tweaking at this point the cell tower. I don't remember, we talked about there were some things that aren't covered by federal law or state law that the borough might want to consider in putting in their ordinance, like remediation. I don't know if that's something.
Well, we were, as we're
Yeah.
post-meeting time, we do have a $20,000 performance security that the company was supposed to put up. And we do have removal requirements, so it's not called decommissioning, but it is in there now. I mean, I think because you had Cohen Law Group go over this, I mean, as we said, that's a very dense, very
it's a tough read.
technological, a lot of details in there for that. So I don't think we'll find something extra to sort of add in.
Okay.
If anything, we should be taking things out. I do think, I mean.
And when you say that, be permitted to take out?
Permitted, I mean, a lot of these. It was originally designed, to not allow towers anywhere except for very specific locations. It's 50 acres, that's why I had some co-location, but by and large, it was none. Perhaps, I do think one consideration that you have that essential service component. It becomes a use permitted by right. It's a building permit. That's it. If there are certain locations or otherwise that have requirements in there that they need to meet, that fall over, things like that, and you can have uses that are conditional uses in certain instances, but permitted by right in others, and
Are you suggesting it should be conditional or? should
It
we-
already is.
Okay.
Right now, it's conditional except for that emergency one.
Do we really want conditional use application for these? Probably not. If it goes through all the stuff that we accept is correct, we probably don't want those. conditions.
It's just, I mean, a question of process.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the ability to object and hold somebody to all that through a public hearing process. You got a planning commission involved, you got
Yeah.
a hearing out there. There's nothing that says you have to do any use as conditional use. I think, not so much on cell towers, but on some other that are, maybe we're concerned at first, say like oil and gas development and other more rural areas. Yeah, conditional use, they got sick of, having the hearings and changed to just permitted by right if you meet certain requirements.
Here's my problem. Nobody loves a hearing more than a lawyer, right? But I'm thinking that the whole purpose of this is to make certain that if there is some way to fix the cell service in the community. I mean, the last thing we want is a potential use of application when they passed all of the requirements through planning commission and or zoning, wherever they're headed. Probably don't need a conditional use here. So if they comply with all requirements, then I just don't think. But that's just. I don't know if we can decide that later. Max, that's something we
Maybe,
decide
I mean, that's another sort of drafting.
Sort of after you do the first.
I mean, these ones you can clean up, but right now it's still conditional use, be conditional use in every zoning district. Without minimum lot size, then a slightly reduced setback requirement.
Do you guys?
Well, I'm not, it would still have minimum lot size, but just the underlying zoning districts. But
Do you have a preference on whether it shows up at a conditional use hearing after everything?
Well, absent conditional use, would it have gone through planning commission?
Usually not, because a cell tower is not considered a land development or
Right, so it wouldn't
subdivision,
have
but
gone
you
through-
can make them. Because it's a lease of property, that's a form of a subdivision. There are municipalities that have said you still have to go through a subdivision process, even though it's not parcel account.
Okay.
I don't know.
So absent that, though, they would not have to go to planning commission or to zoning hearing board. I mean, assuming they don't need some sort of variance.
Variance, right?
So it would just be a permitting process, right?
Be like a permitted use by right, so it'd be covered in the building permit / zoning permit. Across the county, essentially, bunch of things that said.
And you're saying no conditional use because you don't want to. I guess I was misunderstanding the argument against it.
If we spent all this time saying, this is how we want to be able to handle these things, which is that it's either on our property, it's on somebody else's property, and they've met all the requirements, setbacks, they've done everything, then why do we need conditional use to talk about it? We're done, right? They met all the requirements that we created in the law.
Help me distinguish that
Yeah.
from other
Yeah.
reasons you would need a conditional use, so why this, you wouldn't, but those.
Yeah, I hear
others
you.
do.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that complex. I'm not seeing it as a complex. Essentially, a landowner wants to lease their property to another private entity to build a tower. And we've set up the law so that that's permitted. They're doing it,
Well, let me argue a
Yeah.
point against that. We
Yeah.
just did the opposite for data centers.
Yeah, we do.
Kind of with the thinking that we want to make sure everything is to the T, and this is not a very rigorous process to get to that. I think many people would feel the same way about having a data center in their neighborhood as they would a cell phone
That's a
tower.
good distinction. Can you take the, into health, safety and welfare when you're looking at a cell tower? Or is it something that's not, you're not allowed to?
I thought you were allowed to.
In the law.
You can't consider RF radiation or like that type of
That's right.
consideration, but you can. I mean, if it's a conditional use, and our experience here in the borough, I mean, we've made a lot of things conditional uses, like accessory dwelling units over 1,000 based on specific issue, solar panels in the yard, or things like that. Your more traditional, conditional uses are any type of commercial building coming in. And the standards are, you can set forth in the ordinance still permitted in that zoning district, but you're gonna have a list of requirements that somebody's gonna need to meet to do that use. They come in, they say that's what they're gonna do. The burden shifts to any objectors, then essentially half mile to say, okay, even if you met all, the one I can challenge, did you meet all of those? But two, there is something particular about this property and this use that for health, safety, welfare reasons means it should not be allowed in this particular location as opposed to elsewhere, in the borough or in that zoning district. So it's a tough burden, and then it shifts back to the applicant to, say it can be addressed, conditions can be imposed, and you should still grant it. So that's the classic conditional use type of burden shifting requirements, but it is review and recommendation from the planning commission and a public hearing with potential for objectors, and things like that. On a use permitted by right, that's, zoning permit, somebody can still appeal that, issuance that Tim makes, if it falls to him or does it meet these zoning requirements. That's a determination of the zoning officer that can be appealed to the zoning hearing board, 30 days of that. So you can challenge and say, you didn't meet these requirements. But it is obviously it's more of an onus on somebody to appeal and notice that it's going, as opposed to the applicant coming in saying, here's my application. Notices go out 300 feet around, it's posted in the yard and advertised in the newspaper.
So if I'm understanding the comment you just made, the basis of a conditional use application is looking at the health, safety, wellness. and
Any
welfare.
zoning
Okay.
decision sort of.
And your question was, can we consider
Can we
those
do that?
factors
Yeah.
in a cell tower? Because we
Yeah.
know there's some federal cases.
We
that
can't
go-
take into,
can't-
can't take into account RF radiation and. all
Right,
that
but
stuff.
does that,
Yeah.
it sounds like health, welfare, safety is broader than, or there's an argument to be made that
You could,
those four are broader
Yeah.
than just specifically the,
in 95% of the objection is gonna be it's RF radiation. No, that's the problem. I'm just saying, so.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the other concerns are, is it needed, is it their fall issues? I mean, it's just generally an aesthetic. I don't want to.
right, and then
And
be.
how many people are going to solicit tablets for the property? It's gonna be a
Not
very
very so far.
select few, and we will likely be one of them, so. Possibly two of them.
But those health, safety, welfare considerations are the reason why you have requirements that somebody would need to meet. Setback is there so that
The thing doesn't. fall
neighboring
in.
property owner, if anything, like a fire that happens at the single family residence doesn't spread to neighbors and things of that nature. So it's just, the process to go through it. And you can also have special exceptions that are neither special nor exceptions decided by the zoning hearing board. Borough doesn't have any of those. We never have. Prior councils never wanted it, but you can have a same type of consideration as a conditional use, except it doesn't go to the planning commission, it does go to borough council. It goes to the zoning hearing board. Instead of doing variances, you do essentially a conditional use hearing. Do you meet the terms of the ordinance? Do objectors get the burden shifted to them? Do they establish that it's not appropriate for some reason in that particular area? But by and large, all of those is a legislative determination that this zoning district is an appropriate district for this particular use. It's just the method that it gets approved.
That's been going, that's all.
Anybody else have any thoughts on all that? Hypotheticals?
It's all hypothetical, it's perfect.
I mean, there is, at least in, we'd have to see how it was, but
Yeah.
that was why Lynbrook,
Yeah.
did not go through a conditional use, application. If I recall. I think when we were looking and changing 50 and allowing it to be on the use with municipal golf course or a church or things like that, I'd have to go back. I think maybe that's when we made it conditional use as well,
Okay.
but I'd have to look at it exactly. And I could be misremembering. Lindbrook was so long. Obviously, if we had a conditional use hearing, nobody showed up or opposed it. We had a second application for this property, for the Shoemaker property here from Verizon. About there. But it needed variances, you know, from the setback requirements and there was a substation there. And so there was opposition from Settlers Walk. And the zoning hearing board just didn't grant the variances, so they never got to the next step. They took that up to the Supreme Court. Lost, but, no, it's the Shoemaker, right? Shoemaker is the one that opposed the restored. Yeah, a lot going.
Anything else?
I am,
What about this order, about the special exception when it goes to zoning board for the hearing notice and all
I think I prefer we just use a normal channel that we already use rather than have creating an extra more confusing, maybe not more confusing, but
that? I think it's just, this is just a substitute, so instead of coming here, we go there.
yeah, I
That's
think I
all.
honestly would prefer it go to the planning commission. I hear what you're saying
Yeah.
about the extra layer and the,
Yeah,
but I think with something that's gonna have this much impact, we would want to have that extra layer of review and eyes and hearings and all that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
all right, conditional use it is, Max.
Right.
Good luck.
Okay, I think we've lost everyone.
Lawyers in the corners.
I love
Thank goodness we don't have more engineers.
All right, I don't have anything, so, executive session.